So one question I'm sure a lot of people are wanting to get an answer to is, why do wrestling fans that support AEW get crapped upon so much? Even if they're wrestling fans that love all wrestling, good or bad. Why do they get crapped upon by a lot of other wrestling fans in general? And I think the reason is because those that crap upon the wrestling fans that support AEW probably a little bit more than other promotions, even though, like I said, they could be casual hardcore fans that love wrestling overall, good or bad. I think the reason they crap upon them is because they believe basically building themselves up for disappointment. That, they're believing into a hype that has yet to really, deliver that hype full throttle, if you will. That basically they are drinking the kool-aid, if you will, that's being given to them by AEW and Tony Khan, and they're believing everything that comes out of AEW and Tony Khan's mouths, as fact. And basically they're not, opening their eyes and realizing that, hey, AEW isn't as, different than anybody else. Maybe they might be a little bit more leeway when it comes to the kind of matches you might see. They might, give the men and women that are on the roster, a little bit more leeway on how they do their promos, basically allow them to say what they want, as well as have a little bit more creative control. But I think the reason fans that support AEW, probably more so than anybody else, they get, the reason they get this negativity towards them is because those that give it to them, like I said, want them to open up their eyes and realize that AEW is no different than anybody else. They're no different than WWE. They're no different than Impact. They're no different than New Japan. And as a lot of people have said here on YouTube that talk about this kind of stuff, everybody has a right to their opinion. And if those that feel that way towards the AEW fans, or those that strongly support AEW overall, even if they love wrestling, overall, good or bad, if they feel that way towards them, then that's their right to their opinions on how they feel. But the reason I think a lot of fans have been supporting AEW is mainly because of the fact that it gives, they know it gives them another alternative of wrestling to tune into and see what they have to offer. As well as they know it gives the men and women that compete in this business another platform to apply the craft on, and in this case in front of a national audience. But I think the other reason as well that a lot of people support AEW is because of the fact that when they look at a big conglomerate like WWE and they see the roster of talent they have in between all three brands, and they see that they have that potential to be as good, if not better than AEW, it disappoints them. I mean, yes, there is shining beacons of light here and there with what's going on SmackDown and, what's going on with NXT, kind of getting back to what it was. But when it comes to overall WWE product, it's like they have the potential to be good, they're just not capitalizing on it. And I think that's why it drives people to go support AEW, because at least AEW, even with the roster it has, limited in some areas or not, they are basically thriving. They are basically giving everybody an opportunity to shine. Now, now here's the thing: will AEW supporters call out AEW for its faults when they have them? Absolutely, they will call them out. I mean, they look at Dark and Dark Elevation that are here on YouTube, and they will say, "Hey, you don't need to have 10, 20 matches, every Monday and Tuesday on your show. You could just have 4 or 6 matches, and you're good. Just showcase the talent you want to showcase on those shows, and you're good. Don't always have, like I said, 12 to 20 matches, per show." They have called them out about that. They've even called them out about the fact of, hey, why don't you take what you tell us that happens on those shows, why don't you apply that to the main show as well as your upcoming Rampage show, so that we can see it, when it happens, and not have to go and watch it on a YouTube channel that you have. So yeah, the AEW supporters, or Kool-Aid drinkers, if you will, they will call out AEW for its faults. I mean, when AEW had the ending of Blood and Guts the way they did, as well as the ending of the exploding barbed wire death match the way they did, yeah, people called them out about it. They called them out and basically criticized them for, basically filming it a certain way, or basically trolling people a certain way because you promised one thing and yet you delivered something else. So AEW has been called out by the people that are Kool-Aid drinkers for some of the faults and negativities that have, basically followed them and plagued them since their beginning. But when they call them out for that, they also call them out for the positives that pretty much outweigh those negatives. Now, like I said, I get, along with anybody else, I get that people have an opinion on how they feel about the AEW marks. That basically they feel they're totally, in favor of AEW. That they feel AEW is the greatest promotion of all time and everybody should go to All Elite. Instead of giving something like WWE a chance, or at least seeing that maybe WWE is still good, you're just blinded by what AEW is offering. And like I said, people have a right to their opinion for feeling that way. I'm not denying that. I mean, anytime, a fan of AEW, as well as someone that could also be a WWE fan, because like I said, they could be that casual hardcore fan that loves all of wrestling, good or bad. Anytime somebody comes out and says, oh, this person should leave WWE and go to AEW, that's just the opinion. That's just how they feel because of how they're seeing that individual being treated or not given the opportunity they should be given in WWE. And yet when they come out and say, oh, Bianca Belair or Sasha Banks, they're not getting treated well, they need to go to AEW. That's just how they feel. It's an opinion. They're venting. But yet, people that call them out for being totally in favor of AEW and not being unbiased towards all promotions around, will pretty much say, oh, you're just an AEW mark. You don't know what you're talking about. Again, just like you have an opinion to say that to them, they have an opinion to vent and feel that way about somebody that they believe is talented enough to get over and be the top, star in that company, or at least one of the top main event stars in that company. The point is, again, everybody has a right to their opinion. They do. But the reason, again, AEW, people that support AEW, I should say, that are fans of them, excuse me if I paused there for a second, I was trying to think about what I was going to say. But the reason people, get bashed, if you will, trolled, if you will, because of the support of AEW, even if they are an overall overall wrestling fan that loves all of wrestling in general, including WWE, the reason they get called out upon is because apparently a lot of people feel that they're not true wrestling fans. That if they were true wrestling fans, they wouldn't show favoritism one way or another. They would just sit back and enjoy what's going on and try to figure out, okay, this is why this is popular, or why this promotion is popular, and why this promotion's still popular, and why that promotion's popular, and why that promotion's popular. That's how they pretty much look at those that support AEW. People like Just Alex, or Solomonster, or JD. People that have called out AEW for their faults, they still get called upon, or still called out, if you will, by those that feel that they're not real wrestling fans, because if they were, they wouldn't show favoritism towards anybody. They would treat every promotion equally. And that they would give every promotion a chance. That's why, people get called, that's why, in my opinion, people get called out for loving AEW, for supporting AEW. I mean, I support AEW. I like it. I really do. I plucked down $50 back in February for Revolution, and I enjoyed it. Heck, I enjoyed the barbed wire exploding death match till the end, but I enjoyed what AEW was giving. And when WWE hits on all cylinders, people will praise WWE for what they deliver. Same with Impact. Same with MLW. Same with New Japan. Same with AAA. You know, when you hit all cylinders correctly, if not 75% of the time, people will praise you for it. They will give you the thumbs up. But when you don't, I should say, that's when they will call you out. And they will pretty much do a comparison of why people support this more so over this. So, here's the thing. People love wrestling overall. Yes, there will be those that will show a little bit more favoritism towards one promotion, but mainly it's because that promotion is hitting on all cylinders the way any promotion should if they want to be acknowledged as the promotion to be part of. That is why, yes, people when they get angry at places like WWE or Impact or New Japan or AAA not pushing an individual that they feel needs to get that push, needs to be treated as the top star that they are, when they vent at the fact that that person's not getting that opportunity, and they pretty much come out and say, pretty much ask the question of, when is this person's contract up? They need to get out of there and go to AEW. It's because they're angry. They're upset. They're venting. Maybe part of them, legitimately means that, but it's just venting. That person's contract that they feel needs to go to AEW may not expire for at least 8 years, 10 years. But all they're doing is venting. They're not trying to say, oh, that person needs to leave now. No, the venting. They are venting. Alright? They are venting. That's all they're doing. Okay? They don't mean it seriously. Maybe partially they do, but not really. And when it comes to the men and women that want to go to AEW, they used to be part of WWE, or part of Impact, part of AAA, part of New Japan. The reason they go to AEW is because they hear all the positive that's coming out of it. The freedom to say what you want. The freedom to have a little bit of creative control over your characters. Stuff like that. That's why Tommy End, aka formerly Aleister Black, went to AEW. And basically continued what he's doing, or what he started to do in WWE there as Malachi Black. Because Tony Khan is giving him that creative freedom. Freedom that he was somewhat getting a little bit in WWE, because I guess those in charge of SmackDown were like, ooh, that's pretty interesting. Maybe we should run with that. That's what he's getting mostly here in AEW. Now, I know one of the other things people will point out is, like I said earlier, they feel that people that support AEW more so than any other promotion are building themselves up for just eventual disappointment, and that they're drinking a kool-aid that's pretty much going to lose its taste over the years. And the reason some of them say this is because some of them, believe it or not, they may have not come out and said it, but they're pretty much thinking it, in my opinion. They feel that AEW is just going to follow the same path that WCW followed. And that eventually AEW is going to end up in the same position that WCW found themselves in 20 years ago, and that's being bought by the very promotion that people feel that they are better than right now, right now. What I'm trying to say, than themselves. Whatever. Let me correct myself in saying that. Let me rewind. What I'm trying to say is basically, one of the big things that, as I said earlier, is they feel people are setting themselves up for disappointment, and basically that sooner or later the Kool-Aid that they're drinking is going to lose its taste, and that they feel AEW is going to find themselves in a similar situation that WCW found them in 20 years ago, or found themselves in 20 years ago, and that eventually they're going to suffer the same fate WCW did and get bought out by WWE. The very promotion that a lot of people say AEW is better than. That's what I was trying to get at. I do apologize. So let's forward now. Okay. But yeah, basically that's what they're trying to, I guess, get at to the fans that are being blinded, to the fact, to the truth. That are drinking the Kool-Aid. That are building themselves up for disappointment. That, they're trying to say, hey, look, what happens if AEW no longer has a television deal? They can't depend on YouTube or Twitch or any of them, to support them or watch their back. then what? What happens next? And, and here's the thing. Again, they have a right to come out and say that when eventually they do, because I know they're thinking about that. They haven't come out and said it, but we all know they're thinking about that. So eventually when somebody does say that, we could come out and say, hey, we'll worry about that when the time comes. Not right now. We'll worry about that when the time comes. If it comes. Because we don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen with AEW's contract with Warner Media. Warner Media may say, hey, we like what we got with you guys. Let's extend you for another 10 years. There you go. There you go. But already people are already criticizing AEW for the fact that, oh, look, AEW, they're going to TBS next year along with the new little Rampage show on Fridays. It shows that AEW is on death's door. No. That's not the case. Here is why AEW is going to TBS with Dynamite and Rampage. They're going there because these past 2 years, they have been preempted too much, if you will, by NBA basketball and other sporting events and stuff like that, that basically going to TBS is going to help them out immensely. It's going to help them out immensely, and on top of that, if you will, not only is it going to help them immensely, but they're going to have less preemptions to worry about than they have right now, I should say, on TNT. So, them moving to TBS is a good thing. It doesn't mean they're on death's door. It's a good thing. And TBS, believe it or not, is in more households than TNT. I know that's hard to believe, but it's true. There are some cable networks or cable companies right now, I should say, that do not allow TNT in the regional, in the vicinity, but they do allow TBS. They do allow TBS. So going to TBS is a good thing, not being on death's door. That's one thing I will put in favor for AEW and the potential growth. But again, we don't know what's going to happen after that contract is up. They may extend them for another decade. Who knows? But the thing is, everything I've mentioned is pretty much why people get criticized by those that feel they are basically, AEW followers, that they're cult followers of AEW, that they're too blinded to the truth, that they drink the kool-aid not realizing it's going to lose its taste in the future, that why they're building themselves up for disappointment. Mainly because they feel they're not being fair to anybody else. They're not being unbiased. That's why. But also the fact that as much as we may not like it, it is their opinion. It is how they feel. It is their opinion. And we just gotta, we just gotta basically live with that. That's all we have to do. Do we have to agree with their opinions? No. We just gotta let them, say what they want to say, and, just be like, okay, that's your opinion. I'm not gonna argue it. I might debate it if you want me to do a debate, like Alex is going to do a debate on Saturday against, I can't think of his name right now, but it's going to be a debate on Saturday that he's going to do. You could debate it, but if it's your opinion, fine, more power to you. But the thing is, there are fans, and it's no doubt that overall love wrestling, good or bad, that are indeed unbiased. Yeah, they might show a little favoritism to one promotion over the other, but it's because to them, that promotion is hitting on all cylinders when it counts and when it needs to be done. So, anyway though, that's just my opinion as to why people call out the AEW followers the way they do. Why they call people out for being totally, biased towards anybody else but favor AEW overall. So let me know what your thoughts are. Comment if you like in the Comment if you like in the comment section below, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. I know I sounded like I rambled a little bit here, but that's what happens when you do things unscripted and off the top of your head. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment if you like. Love to hear from each and every one of you. Like the video, and I am out.